We're back for Real Railroads, Episode 18, Jacksonville Port Terminal Railroad. I'm hoping to get 4 episodes done today. Hopefully I will. Located in Jacksonville, Florida, not far to the northeast from FEC's Jacksonville Yard, is another operation, Watco's Jacksonville Port Terminal Railroad. This railroad started in 2017 and interchanges with NS and CSX in Jacksonville, running on 10 miles of track. The railroad was formerly known as the Talleyrand Terminal Railroad, which started operations on July 28, 1996, and served the Talleyrand Marine Terminal on the St. Johns River. When Watco took over, the railroad only served 4 customers, and it seems that hasn't changed. JXPT starts in the south leg of a 4Y along the east side of Norfolk Southern's yard in the Phoenix neighborhood of Jacksonville, Florida. It then runs east, crossing Phoenix Avenue before reaching a 2-track yard going under US 1A and a footbridge, and comes to the larger yard, a 5-track yard that crosses Buckman Street at grade. At the east end of the yard is a track for motor power to the south and a single disused spur north of the yard that runs along an abandoned factory. The tracks then split into a Y, which leads to a loop of track. Going north, the track curves east and then south right along the St. Johns River, and there are 7 cranes for unloading container ships and straddling 2 tracks. In the terminal, Jacksport Refrigerated Services, misread. In the middle of the loop is an unnamed warehouse with a spur inside and outside. A 4-track intermodal terminal. Jacksport Refrigerated Services, which has 2 tracks among the storage tanks with 9 spotting locations. The outside of the loop has another unnamed warehouse with a spur inside and 2 outside, and a lead into a 2-track auto ramp. The west side of the loop is a 3-track yard used for storing cars waiting to be spotted at the tank farm. Their primary business is automobiles, chemicals, farm products, food products, intermodal, pulp, and paper. The best spotting location would probably be Talleyrand Avenue. This runs right between their main yard and the port loop, down the middle of the Y. You can see the JXPT office, the locomotive track, yard, Jacksonville Port Authority, office, intermodal facility, and Jacksport Refrigerated Services, all from public property with ease. Southeast Toyota Distributors is a little farther down the road, and while it would be easy to see them shoving cars in and pulling them out, seeing the actual unloading of auto racks would be hard over the vehicles in the lot. A block to the south, you will run into a CSX grade crossing for their own Jacksonville port operation. Buckman Street to the west crosses through the main yard. East 17th Street runs along the smaller yard, and Phoenix Avenue crosses the main west of the little yard. Evergreen Avenue is the last public grade crossing and is located right at the eastern point of the former Y, where you can see the Y right away for the north leg and the tracks going around the south leg. The NS yard is visible from Carmen Street, which crosses to the south end. Port railroads are often modeled in the 1950s or 1960s, the early diesel days when intermodal was not the main thing at a port. A port railroad would fit well in a spare room with both HO and scale, or on a peninsula of a much larger layout. Since this episode is running very short, I made some rough drawings of 3 possible plans for a port railroad. 1 on a peninsula, and 2 others for a bedroom of different sizes or different scales. In Plan 1, the railroad is a peninsula, with this side having an interchange yard for 2 railroads from the main layout, like the JXPT interchanges with CSX and NS. Here we have a 5-track and a 4-track yard, interchange yard, with a single track for locomotives of the Port Railroad. We then head down the peninsula to a balloon loop with 2 tracks on the outside. These would be waterside tracks for bulk freight. In the center is a 3-track intermodal yard or an auto ramp. And the industrial lead has another industry, which could be a tank farm or warehouse, and then ends at what could be an intermodal terminal or auto ramp. Plan 2 is for an entire room. Pretty generic, with a door in the corner. Yeah, blanking here. The peninsula has the interchange yard on one side, which is right here. And then a long spur, which I figured would be a waterfront or a warehouse. The wall across from the yard is supposed to be intermodal, with the opposite wall has a small yard for off-spot cars and running around cars, plus 2 industries, or one here and one down here. The fourth wall, I have a switchback to reach one industry, and then a tank farm in the corner with 2 unloading tracks and a 3-track yard for off-spot cars. Plan 3 is for an even smaller room, with the interchange being these 3 tracks. 2 industries on a switchback set up for operational interest. A small runaround. The third wall has waterfront and could be intermodal or anything involving a port, and ending at a 3-track auto ramp. All these are based on the Jacksonville Port Terminal Railroad, but are not prototype specific. Just some simple things that I thought up in a few minutes for filler. Next week, I will be talking about First Coast, which is a short line north of Jacksonville.